How's it going, YouTube? This is Redneck Sniper with your Mosin Nagant reassembly video. If you haven't watched the disassembly and you don't know how to take it apart, obviously you should be watching that video first. But if you already took yours apart and can't figure out how to get it back together, hopefully this video will help you. So we'll start with the bolt. We'll just work our way backwards from where we started. So here's our bolt handle, firing pin, or spring, I'm sorry. Firing pin. Again, the image is backwards. I do apologize, but hopefully you should be able to figure it out. I hope so. The serial number on your bolt handle will be facing forward. So your firing pin will go back in like this. Serial number, firing pin up front. So compress the spring, get this piece, it's going to stick on right here. Compress the spring. Mine's not going down all the way because mine is extremely old. Well, everybody's is old, but mine has been in combat, and to be honest, it's a little wore out. The rifling in the barrel is almost non-existent. In the breech anyway. The rifling and the rest of the barrel is fine. There we go. Let's press the spring. Tighten this up. When you get done, you want, and there we go. There's a groove cut in the bolt. You want this matched up with the group that's the deepest. So it'll look as if when it's sitting in the rifle that it's charged. Make sure the back, see the two notches? The screw needs to line up with these two notches. Mine does not, so I'm going to take my screwdriver, and actually don't have a screwdriver small enough, so I'll take my power drill. Do not use a power drill on here. I'm going to use it as a screwdriver, manually. So I'm going to turn it back just a little. Alright. I didn't want to turn it back too much because if it gets too loose, it will break. But as long as it's about almost there. It's almost there. So as long as it's that close, you're good. Alright, next part. You're going to need this and this. The only two pieces of the bolt you should have left. There's a little notch right here. This notch will slide on to this rail. Obviously, this part will be forward. So slide them on, match this up with this, and slide it on. Turn it until these two pieces are even. Then grab your bolt. These teeth go in here when you're sliding it back, so that's how you know where to put it on, and don't do like I just did and put it on the outside. So now this is on. You kind of have to play with this to get it to go back in right. As you can see, mine's not in because this is just free floating. Alright. So if this is free floating, just pick it back up because it needs to go in here. Pick it back up slightly, move it down. Alright, and there's your bolt. To get it back in place, you're going to have to hold everything still I'm going to use my table because it makes it easier. In fact, I'm going to do it over here. There we go. Until you hear the click. So make sure it's all together, nothing's falling off. And here's your Mosin Nagant bolt reassembled. Alright, so we'll set this aside. Now, we put the barrel and the receiver back in the stock. Alright. Really? So I'm ready to go back together. Set your trigger back in. It should be pretty easy to figure out the shape. However, this is upside down. Now, piece of wood, put it back on. Slide your first ring in the spot. And then if your band is tight, you may need to get a screwdriver or a pair of tweezers or pliers to get it to go back on right. But once you get it on, for most people, just slide it back past the spring and the spring will engage. But as you know, mine's broken, so I'm just going to slide it back. There we go. And mine's back in place. Now put the magazine back on. To put your magazine back together, this piece, there's a tree right there. See the little bar? Compress this tooth will open up. Slide it in. It hooks onto it. There we go. It's hard looking on the video when the image is reversed. Let go. Smack it shut. Put it on. Alright. Little screw goes in this hole. Make sure, give it a little smack, make sure it's properly seated. Screwdriver. And whatever you do not use a smaller screwdriver on these screws. You cannot buy these screws at any local hardware store. If you strip these, the only way you're going to get more screws is to buy another Mosin. Do not use a smaller size screwdriver on these screws. It will strip them. Get the right size screwdriver. This one is a 1/4. So get a 1/4 size screwdriver. Tighten it up pretty good. Last screw is this one. A lot easier to put back together than it is to take apart. Takes a little less time to put back together if you know what you're doing. I was really disappointed. I was going to make a video of taking apart a Stevens Model 67. It's not mine, but I was going to do it anyway, and I don't have a punch. Alright, there's your gun put back together. Grab the bolt. If you don't want to scratch the bolt up, I don't like to, hold down the trigger and it slides in smooth. Then let go of the trigger. It's not good to dry fire, so hold the handle and let the spring come back forward gently. Now, for some of you that may not know, the Mosin Nagant actually does have a safety. The image is reversed, but if you pull this back, like you're holding it on your right shoulder. This is my right shoulder. The image is backwards. I'm sorry. But hold it on your right shoulder. Pull this handle back and to the left, like so. And it's on safe. The sear contact is removed, so there's nothing there, and the bolt won't open. Pull it back, and it's a little stiff, so you're gonna have to have a little bit of strength to do this. And it's on fire. Now it shoots. It's not good to dry fire, but just to ensure that it works, it works. Bolts back together. I'll put the cleaning rod back in. And one of the things I really liked about the Mosin is when you put the cleaning rod back in, it threads in, but the threads are made in wood. I just thought that was really cool because that takes, believe it or not, it takes longer to put threads in wood than it does metal. I know, I'm a machinist, and it's harder to put threads in wood because wood breaks a lot easier than metal does. However, if you do break it, it's easier to repair than it is steel. Alright. Yeah, cleaning rod's back in. And last but not least, I put my sling on. I set my sling up backwards on purpose because if this is flush, it's hard to grab onto. So I put mine in backwards so it's already up. That way, when I want to loosen it, I just pull up. If I want to tighten it, there we go. Pretty cool. I was like, where'd this go? Alright. These loops or holes in the stock is where the sling goes back in. Obviously, if you had a sling and took it off, you should know that. Alright, I'm going to have to do this without watching the camera because it's hard to watch the camera and do this when the image is backwards. So just let me put my sling back on real quick. Guess I'm trying to get mine a little too tight. All right. There we go. I don't worry about the loops. I just slide mine through. It's not a big deal to me. Some people might be a little OCD about that, but I'm not, so. Dang it. So much grease on my hands, it's ridiculous. Now, one thing I am OCD about, these loops have to come out on the same side. Alright. Let's tighten this sling back up. And there you have it. Your reassembled Mosin Nagant. Thanks for watching. This is Redneck Sniper signing out.